Good morning, everyone. It's not too late to grow blueberries. I saw a few in the nursery recently. So if you've got a hankering for growing blueberries, I've got a few tips for you on how to grow them and also a couple of ways to protect them. So stay tuned. In my tiny California garden, I only had room for 2 bushes. Now, if you grow blueberries, you really need to have 2 bushes of different varieties in order for pollination to occur. I only had 2 blueberry bushes, and I had them in a container, which is very easy to protect them from birds and squirrels if you only have 2 bushes. But now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I have 11 bushes that were pre-existing when I bought the property. They were already here, and I just knew that the minute those blueberries were ripe, they would be gone. I have so many birds here. And so we built this enclosure. I had visited OAG, that's Old Alabama Gardener Channel, back in 2017. And he had huge blueberry bushes that were 6, 7, 8 feet tall. And he had built an entire enclosure with a screen, like a screen door, to go in and out. I didn't want to build anything permanent like that here because I am not exactly sure this is the best place to grow blueberries. Blueberries, of course, any fruit needs a lot of water to develop that juicy fruit. And these were planted under this huge, what Barefoot Farmer referred to as a water maple. There goes a squirrel. What is it after? Hopefully nothing. This is an enormous tree, part of which shades over the blueberries, and we had noticed the first 2 or 3 bushes were very spindly and not a lot of leaves, and when we were digging in the middle of this, there was an enormous root coming down, and those roots just suck up all the water. I had the same problem in California. You know, blueberries like acidic soil. They do very well in containers, and since I had so little space in California, when I tried blueberries in the ground, the trees just sucked up all the water. And we were in an 8-year drought, so you really need to get those blueberries in containers where you can control the acid, because they like a more acidic soil, and the water, which is what I did. When you only have a couple of bushes, it's very easy to protect them from birds and squirrels. You let all of the flowers start to develop the fruit, and once the fruit starts developing, then you want to think about getting a cover on, which is what we did here. In California, I used Voil. I love red Voil. I love red. I use red because I love red. But I would cover my blueberries in Voil, which is very easy to do when you only have a couple of bushes, 2 or 3, 4 bushes. Voil, this Voil is 72 inches wide. A lot of people have asked me about it. We have red Voil on the raised beds right now over the brassicas. Since it's only 72 inches wide, that seems wide, but you know, when you drape it over a bush, you can run out of fabric. So I didn't want to try to put Voil over 11 bushes, especially these bushes which are pretty spread out. Now, our basic critters, which we love, but we don't want them eating our fruit, are squirrels and birds. So I had Justin build this movable, changeable enclosure. And we tried a couple of different nettings. The bird netting that comes sort of vacuum sealed in a package, it's sold everywhere. That is not a perfect rectangle. And for something this uniform, it was very difficult to get that stretched over this enclosure that he built. And so I wound up using the deer fencing, which is also nylon netting, but it's not this stretchy. It's an actual, it comes in a roll, and it's actually a rectangle because it's 7 feet tall. And he was able to use about 2.5 passes to completely enclose this. And this is built for these bushes to get much, much bigger. I don't know if they will, because we're underneath this maple tree. So this is our trial run this year. These bushes have fruit on them. I'm hopeful we can get a few blueberries. If you're trying to hold down your voil, it's really easy. You just get garden stakes. These garden stakes come in all weights. It's basically a metal rod with a hook on it, and you stick it in and you hold down. It goes through the voil very easily. It will make a hole in it, so you got to be careful and not start ripping that voil, because you want your voil to last. It's pretty inexpensive per yard, but when you're buying lots and lots of yards, you want to be able to get more than one season out of it. And of course you buy this at a fabric store because this is fabric. Another product, and I mean I tried everything when I started growing tomatoes. The best thing I ever found are these tomato, they're called plant clips, but of course tomatoes are what you mainly use them for. And these work great. I'll just open this if you've never seen these. These work great on tomatoes, but they also work great on this voil. And they also worked great on the shade cloth that I put over the voil on the raised beds. They come in two sizes. These are for your tender young stems, and these are for your bigger stems. Those are my indispensable items that I use to protect my brassicas, my fruiting bushes and trees. I've got peaches developing on the fruit trees. I am debating on whether to use bird netting or voil. You can also use silk bags, but a thirsty bird will poke that beak right through a silk bag. That happened to me in California when I covered my figs, when I covered my smaller tomatoes. Yeah, they find ways. But you just keep throwing those deterrents, and you hope that you can keep them off long enough for you to get a harvest. They know exactly when a fruit is going to be ripe, and they'll usually take it like the day before. Just when you think, okay, tomorrow's the big day, gonna go out and harvest, you go out and they got it the night before or the day before. So you got to be really on your toes. Justin finally got this enclosure the way we wanted it. I took this design off Josh Satton's channel. He used the same type structure for some of his garden plants, his row crops. Scott Head at Black Gumbo uses something very similar to tie up tomatoes, and that's how I'm going to be tying up tomatoes, the way that we did the top. These curved supports are 2 concrete ladder mesh, 8-inch, that are 10 feet long, put together and wired together into a big hoop. We wanted it big enough so we could walk in. I didn't want to be crawling in to get my blueberries. And that way, this gives the blueberries lots of space to grow. Hopefully they will underneath this water maple. I don't know. We'll see. Justin wound up using these, it's basically a hook, these garden hooks, but you can also use staples. It looks like an elongated staple, and you stick it down. You can hold down netting, you can hold down weed cloth. So a garden staple or stake, you can secure your netting or your voil. Let's take a walk inside the enclosure. There was quite a bit of discussion about how to make a door. And basically we wound up with a big overlapping piece with a very lightweight rod to secure the bottom. And I had bought a huge package of multi-size zip ties, and he wound up utilizing zip ties to put all of this netting on the structure. So you just drop it, and we're inside. There's no door on this end. We may at some point. Now, I felt like there was so much space here. Now, next year, maybe these bushes will be much bigger That would be lovely. It is interesting. You can probably see that these bushes at the end are much bigger than the ones getting closer to the tree and the tree roots. Because there was this much space between the rows, I said, you know, when I was in California, I used every square inch of planting area. I said, let's put the snap peas that I was growing in gutters right down the middle. I've seen better peas, to tell you the truth. So this was a method that I tried for the first time, growing it in the gutter. Always in California, I put the peas directly in the ground, but it never froze where I was, and we had some late freezes here. So this way I was able to pull the peas into the garage and protect them. Now the taller peas right now have flowers, and because this is not voile, this is 1 inch, it's about 1 inch square openings to this netting. The bees can actually go through and pollinate the blossoms on the peas. Now I really haven't seen honeybees here, maybe just a handful. Mostly what I see are bumblebees, probably the native bumblebees. But that's the enclosure finished as it is right now. Now I don't have any way to protect my blackberries down on the arbor, so we will see if I'm able to get blackberries. But we use the same deer fencing, the nylon netting on the strawberry protection as well. Wow, so juicy. Thanks so much for watching this channel, liking the videos, and especially sharing them. You know, I'm Kaye, and I am right here on this new Tennessee homestead, and it's been very challenging if you've been following me, between ticks and poison ivy and a recent incident in my garden that no one ever wants to have happen. But we are trying to soldier on and absolutely make the best of it. Today we have a moderate to poor air quality day. Yesterday I felt like I was getting heat exhaustion and I became exhausted and nauseous. So you really have to be careful working out in this heat. It was 91 degrees and I am not really suited yet for that because I have been in a temperate climate with low humidity gardening for 8 years. This is a whole new experience, and I'll be sharing my experience with you because this experience is more typical of what you may have, the majority of people watching may have, than what I had in California. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you enjoyed this video, please watch these. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'll see you in the next video.